So, you want to be a travel boss, where this is the perfect place for you to be because our travel boss agent training is definitely the resource that you need to get started as a brand new travel agent or to take your existing travel business to the next level. This training is going to teach you how to dispel the number one myth about making money as a travel agent. And I'm going to share with you 7 of my favorite ways to get paid as a travel agent. But before I do that, definitely want to start with a quick introduction for those of you who are here for the very first time. And this is your first opportunity to connect with me. I am Koereyelle. I'm a two-time author, a serial entrepreneur, and an educator that's managed to turn my $32,000 teaching salary into a six-figure brand. And even though there's not necessarily a secret to how I did that, if there was a secret, it would be multiple streams of income. There isn't one thing, one product I've sold, one program that I've created that has generated that six figures. It's literally been multiple streams, figuring out ways to monetize the things that I'm interested in or passionate about. And travel has definitely been a big part of that. So I started planning travel way back in college before, I really even knew that travel agents was a thing. Started planning travel literally my sophomore year of college. I planned the getaway to the Bahamas. So it was a super dope getaway. It was like a MTV spring break trip where we cruised from Miami to the Bahamas, and then we docked in the Bahamas and we stayed there for a week. And it was 8 of us. We drove down. Like, that was my very first experience with putting together a group trip, planning travel. And I didn't even really know what I was doing, but I knew that I loved to travel, and I had these homegirls that were willing to hit the road with me. So that was my first little, like, brush with the travel agency world. But in 2014, when me and my friends started planning for our 30th birthday trip, I thought, okay, this is a good opportunity for me to really get serious about monetizing this skill, because I was always the one in the group that ended up planning stuff naturally. So I figured I might as well start taking this seriously and figure out how to get paid. And so I came across the opportunity in 2014 to become a certified travel agent with an MLM company. And if you saw, if you follow me on Instagram, then you've probably seen me mention MLM companies a few times. No shade. I always start by saying that, but I like to keep it real about my personal experience, because from what I see from the outside looking in, anybody who you hear talk about MLMs typically is a part of an MLM. And so they have to say what they have to say, and they're not always being honest. Everybody wants you to believe that, you're going to be rich and make all this money underneath these MLMs. And that has not been my personal experience. Not that that is not possible. Again, no shade, but that has not been my personal experience. So in 2014, when I became a certified travel agent, the company that I became an agent under wasn't what I thought it was. It wasn't this, booming travel agency that was doing all this travel booking that I thought I was signing up to be a part of. It was really a multi-level marketing company. So that's what MLM stands for, if you don't know. And that's basically what people call like a pyramid scheme, where the only way that you make money is off of convincing other people that they can make money by doing the same thing. But the scheme or scammy part of it is that you're not actually selling anything. You're not actually planning any travel. You're just making people believe that you're planning travel so that they'll believe that if they plan travel, then they'll make money. And that's what it ended up being. So I'm not going to say the company that I was a part of, but that's how most MLM companies are. And I've tried several of them out in different industries. But what I found out is that I was misled into thinking that I was going to be able to, really book all this travel and make all of this money. But when I got in, then the focus turned to building a team. I don't have the personality to try to convince people, to try to trick you into coming to do something, or that's just not my thing. So, and that's why MLM has never worked for me, because I'm not going to all those meetings. I'm not telling people to come to my secret hideout. I'm not doing all that stuff. So for me, MLM that wasn't gonna be it. However, I had already taken this test. I had already gotten these credentials to be a certified travel agent. I had already invested this money. So I figured I might as well, invest some time and figure it out. So I started, offering these services, telling everybody I'm a travel agent, and I booked my first trip, y'all. When I saw what that commission was, I was so disappointed. I felt like the wind had been knocked out of me. Like I was so excited to be a travel agent. I had been hyping myself up. And then I got that $60 check. And I just could not imagine how in the world this $60 check was ever going to help me quit my teaching job. I didn't, how was I ever going to, at that time, I wasn't teaching full time, but I had two part-time jobs. I was working as a bartender at night. I was working as a preschool teacher during the day. And I could just I couldn't understand it. I couldn't understand how this $60 check was supposed to help me out. And so the problem with me signing up under this MLM agency is nobody could help me figure it out either, because the people who had signed me up were not planning travel. So they couldn't help me plan travel because they had no experience planning travel. They were all about building the team. So I literally did all the research I could, took classes, took all of these extra trainings and webinars for a good 6 months until I figured out my formula for making money as a travel agent. And for me, because I already had the Single Wives Club, I already had this brand, I figured I should take advantage of this audience and start doing group travel. Instead of me nickel and diamond and making, $60 here and $100 there, if I could make $100 per person and I'm sending, 10 people somewhere, or I'm taking a group of 50 people somewhere, then that is a little bit more worth my while than this $60 check. And so all of the information that I've learned over the last 5 years, all of the mistakes that I've made, the lessons that I've learned, the money that I've wasted is literally what I have packaged up and put inside of this Travel Boss training course that I offer. And so far we have trained 42 women. I am super proud of that. We've only done the training twice. So we've done 42 women in the last two trainings. We have 8 women that are already signed up and registered for the next rollout. And my goal is 100 for the year. So I am excited to be able to share my lessons learned, because so many people are interested in the travel industry, but they have questions about it and they don't necessarily know where to get answers. And you can't always trust Google. And you can't always trust people who represent MLM companies, because they're not necessarily going to tell you the answer. They're going to tell you what they think you want to hear versus what is really real. And so I want to tonight be able to talk to you about the number one myth about making money in the travel industry, and then 7 of my favorite ways. Now, there are way more, there's a laundry list of ways that you can monetize your skills as a travel agent, but I want to tell you about the ways that I like to get paid. I don't like to talk to y'all about the things that I heard about, I read about, somebody told me about. I like to share with you all the real deal, what I have actually done, what has worked for me, and what I feel like could work for you. So at the end of tonight's training, I am going to give you a link to sign up for the Travel Boss course if you're interested, but it's a special link and it's going to include some bonuses. So if you are interested in that, definitely make sure you stick around to the end, because if you use the link that you were sent earlier in a previous email, it's not going to get you the bonuses. So you got to stick around to the end for that. All right, so let's get into it. And again, if you have questions, you can save those for me. So, first things first, why should you become a travel agent? Well, number one, people are going to travel whether or not you book them or not. People, have specific trips that they do annually, whether it's a family reunion, a girls' trip, a getaway. There are certain things that people are going to do with or without you. And so it's one of those industries where you don't have to force people into taking a trip. You don't have to convince people into, traveling the world. People are going to do it regardless. So it's not something that is a hard sell. And again, I don't have the type of personality to be harassing anyone to do anything that they don't want to do. Like that, is not going to work for me. So travel would not work for me if that was the case, if that was something that I was required to do. But once people realize that you can save them time, you can save them money, you can handle the things that are a headache for them, they're going to be beating down your door for you to help them, with that trip. You'll be surprised how many people have trips in the works that they've been meaning to plan or they've been wanting to go on, but they just haven't had the time, to be able to do it. So once people know that you're a travel agent, you won't have to convince anybody to book you, or, you don't have to sell your services. There's an endless supply of the world to see and sell. So you're never going to run out of quote unquote products. You're never going to run out of something to sell. As long as, there is world out there, you have something that you can offer to your clients. And your clients are never going to be able to see the entire world. So you have an opportunity for repeat business. There are literally people who will come to you year after year after year to plan their family trip or plan, their anniversary trip. You want to create those relationships so that, not only are you planning for them year after year, but now they're referring other people to you. And you don't have to worry about having this huge social media following. You don't have to worry about all of those things that you think you need to make money, because, your work will speak for itself. So you're literally never going to run out of the world to see and sell. You have an unlimited income potential in the travel industry. And we're going to talk tonight about 7 of the ways that you can get paid and literally write your own paycheck. It all depends on how much you are willing to put in. What you get out is a direct reflection of what you're willing to put in. But if you are willing to put in the work, you can definitely make very, very good money as a travel agent. And you can do it on your own time from wherever you want to be. So as long as you have Wi-Fi, as long as you have access to your computer and a good stable internet connection, and you can, research the travel vendors and you can create travel quotes, you can literally work from anywhere around the world. I got a text message from one of my agents probably a month ago, and she said, I just want to thank you. No, the first part of the message said, this week, my office is in Montego Bay. And then it said, I just want to thank you so much for all of your help, for the opportunity, blah, 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 all a sweet, sappy message. But she was basically thanking me for offering the training and giving her the opportunity to literally be working from Jamaica in a week, for a week. So she's done 2 group trips, so far this year. And the way that she's doing her group trips is the same way that I do mine, where she travels with her group. You don't necessarily have to do that, but that's an option. And so she's literally been able to, because of, the freedom that the flexibility that she has with her 9 to 5, she's able to work from anywhere in the world. Another reason, or a benefit of becoming a travel agent, is that it's literally a $7 trillion industry. Okay. So people are spending money, and you might as well get your piece of the pie. All right. So 5 reasons, and of course there are more reasons, but 5 reasons why you should consider being a travel agent. And I probably don't have to convince you, because you're here. So that means you're interested. So let's get into it. All right. So the number 1 myth about making money as an agent is that all of your income is going to come from commissions. Okay. That is the biggest myth about making money as an agent, that the money that you are going to depend on, the money that you are going to make a living with, is going to be this 15% commission from these travel vendors. It's not the case. Okay. I literally got, in the last week, I've gotten a $75 check. I've gotten a $29 check. I've gotten like a $260 check in the mail for my agents. This is the thing that you have to understand about these commission checks. Let's say you book with Apple Vacations. While you're building your travel package, Apple Vacations will say, okay, your commission for this booking is $100. Of that $100, you are going to have to split a percentage of that with your host agency. Every host agency is different. That percentage, they might take 20%, they might take 30%, they might take 70%. It just depends on the host agency that you work under. But regardless of what percentage they take, it's still a percentage of $100. And for most people, $100 is not going to allow you to walk away from your job anytime soon. And so if you are relying on that commission check to make your money as a travel agent, you are going to be very disappointed. The work that you put in is not going to match these checks that you get. The other thing that people don't realize, and again, I am only offering this training and the Travel Boss course because I know the frustration of signing up for something, investing in something, having a bunch of questions and nobody to answer your questions, nobody to help you. And so one of the things that I had to learn the hard way that a lot of my students didn't know or understand or even believe is that you don't get paid as a travel agent until 30 to 45 days after your client travels. So it might be August when you're planning the trip. They come to you in August, but they're not actually going anywhere until that following January. So that means that you're going to have to wait 30 to 45 days after January. So February, mid-March, before you're going to get paid for the work that you did the previous August. So not only is that commission check that you're going to get a small percentage, it's also going to be very delayed. So you don't want to be doing a bunch of work today and you're not going to make any money until a year out. So there are things that we teach you inside of the Travel Boss training for how you can get paid right away, how you can make your money up front, how you can add in specific things and services, conveniences for your clients so that they're happy. You're going above and beyond for them. You know, we're not teaching you how to scam anybody, but you're providing them with the services that they need, they didn't even know was possible. And so they're more than willing to pay for them. Okay, so number one myth about making money as a travel agent, that these commission checks is hitting on something. I'm telling you, they are not. Okay, so let's get into it. 7 ways to get paid. Those cute little girls, those are my girls. Hey, JoJo, Cindy, those are my swimsuits. One of my favorite ways to get paid that we're going to talk about. Let's get into it. Number one, and this is probably the most typical or expected way to get paid as a travel agent, and that's through personal travel planning. So this is where someone comes to you and they say, hey, I have my anniversary coming up. Me and my husband, we want to go to Cancun for the weekend. You, as a travel agent, can set up their flight, their hotel, their massages, their ground transportation. You can arrange the roses to be laid out on the bed, the champagne. You can do all of those things as a travel agent, and that is considered personal travel planning. When you get started as a travel agent, this is probably where you are going to start because this is the most common form of the most common service that you will offer. And it's what most people will need. Okay, so personal travel planning is any trip that you put together with less than 10 rooms. By most vendors' standards, any packages with 10 or more rooms is considered group travel, which is my second favorite way to get paid. So the $60 check that I told you about, that first check that I got, that was personal travel planning. That was literally my homegirl said, hey, me and my boyfriend want to go. I think it was Cabo or something. Oh, let me tell y'all this too. This is another myth. The reason I only made $60, even though I did a hotel and a flight, and nobody told me this. Nobody told me this because nobody knew. And nobody knew because they weren't really selling travel. They were just trying to sign people up for this MLM, okay? And as y'all can see, I'm salty about that because they was wasting my time. But one thing that nobody taught me that I learned the hard way is that you don't get paid off of flights. So travel agents can book flights, but literally the only reason that you'll book a flight for your client is as a convenience. It's to save them time, and you're just doing it out of the goodness of your heart, but you're not making any money off of booking flights. So even though I have booked a flight and a hotel for my homegirl, I only made $60 because I didn't get anything off the flights and I didn't add anything extra on top of, what the vendor was charging me or what the vendor was, expecting. So that was personal travel planning. That $60 check could easily turn into a $6,000 check easily with group travel. So instead of, I'm gonna say nickel and diamond, but expect to nickel and dime when you first get started. We all got to start somewhere. So I consider, a trip for two to Miami, I consider that to be nickel and diamond. You might make $100, $200, and that's cool. But again, that's not necessarily going to be something that can, you can walk away from your 9 to 5 right away. So what I wanted to do, and to each his own, but what I wanted to do, because I already had an audience as well, let me make that clear too. Because I already had an audience, it was easier for me to offer group travel to my existing audience. Now, this is the thing. My agent that I told you about that's done 2 trips so far this year, she didn't have a built-in social media audience. She literally probably has like 600 followers on Instagram. Okay. She doesn't have a huge following on social media, but what she does have is a willingness to tell people about what she does. She's active in her community. She's active at her job. She's a part of different organizations. And so because she's already a part of these different groups, it was easier for her to say, hey, I'm offering this service now. Let's put together this trip. So you don't necessarily have to have, a million social media followers to put together a group trip. And so it's definitely something that you want to consider if you do have an audience, if you're a part of an organization, if your family is going to go on a trip every year, if your class reunion is coming up, if you have, a brand that you've already established, you can consider doing group travel. Because again, when I do busy at the beach, and busy at the beach is literally me taking women from around the country to different beaches around the world. We go for 4 days, 3 nights. I do group activities, like happy hours, pool parties. We do workshops, we do panels, we have a boat party. And so I'm able to add in different services, different events, different excursions into those packages. So instead of me making $60 off of doing personal travel planning, with group travel planning in one weekend, I can literally make anywhere between 5,000 and I'll say 15,000 for 4 days and 3 nights, and I get a free vacation out of the deal. So it's not a bad job. Okay, it's not a bad job to have. And so again, the difference between personal travel and group travel, a group is considered 10 rooms or more. So if you're taking, a group of 5, that could be considered a group by your definition, but you wouldn't necessarily need to book them as a group with a travel vendor. So based on vendor definitions, a group is 10 rooms or more. And then the other thing, while we're on groups, the other benefit to booking groups, whether you travel with the group or not, is that groups, when you have 10 rooms or more, you are eligible for certain concessions. And so a concession is basically like the bonuses that travel vendors or resorts will provide you for bringing a certain number of people to their property. So for example, typically with Busy at the Beach, I book through Vacation Express, and Vacation Express will say, okay, for every 5th passenger, you'll get a free passenger, or for every 10th room, you get a free room upgrade, or a private check-in or a private happy hour. So depending on the number of passengers that you bring to a specific property, that property will offer you concessions. So there's other ways that you can, monetize. And then there's also just perks and benefits that you have as a travel agent or as the group leader. Specialty travel is very popular, and it's another way for you to get paid. So my specialty, with my group travel, I do group travel for millennial women. There are other groups out there that do group travel. There are other groups that do retreats and different type of trips. But what I specialize in is group travel for millennial working women. So we work hard, we play hard. We do, the workshops, we do a little bit of training. I do coaching sessions on some of the trips. And then we also have the booze cruise boat party. So it's a good mix. But my demographic is millennial women of color. Your demographic might be millennial creatives of color. It might be millennial fitness enthusiasts. It might be middle age real um, divorced husbands. Like you can come up with your own niche, but there's riches in niches. That's a phrase, the phrase that pays. Okay, that's really real. You can literally figure out your specialty, figure out what audience you really want to work with, and then create and curate travel experiences specifically for that audience. I have an agent who only does group trips, guided trips to Morocco. That's it. She has credentials to book travel for people, to take, plan trips to different places, but she only wants to go to Morocco. She's made these connections with the local, business owners, restaurant owners, and people in Morocco. So she puts together these group guided experiences to Morocco, and that's all that she does. And she makes a living taking women over to Morocco. That's considered specialty travel. So your specialty travel can be something that you're interested in, some hobby that you have. Maybe you are a Zumba instructor and you're going to do Zumba weekend in Zanzibar, or, you have a Black yoga group that you're a part of, and you are going to partner with the group leader to do Black yoga beach week, in the Bahamas, or whatever you're interested in, whatever you're passionate about, whatever excites you, whatever organizations you might be a part of, those can be ways that you can get paid as a travel agent. If you're a member of a sorority, if you're a member of an alumni association, if you're a member of a soccer mom club, I'm not a mom yet, so I don't know if the soccer moms get together and do anything, but I imagine as a soccer mom, you probably need a freaking vacation, right? You probably could afford a vacation. And so that might be an opportunity for you to get a specialty group together to make money off of your travel agent credentials. So you definitely want to consider specializing in something that will save you from wasting your time. Because when you start saying that you're a travel agent, people are going to come to you for those 2-day trips to New York, the 2-day trips to Las Vegas, the trip, for 2 to New Orleans. And you can do that. But again, you are not going to make a whole lot of money on those trips. So if you are very clear about the type of travel that you want to plan, the type of people that you actually want to work with, then you are going to save yourself a lot of time and energy from working with people who, end up wasting your time. Honeymoons are something else to consider because people are typically willing to spend a little bit more money when it comes to planning their honeymoon. They have a bigger budget, and honeymoons, believe it or not, is an easier specialty to get into if you happen to know a wedding planner. If you're married, you can connect with your wedding planner and they can connect you with other wedding planners. If you are on Instagram, which I'm sure you are, you can find wedding planners through there and become a preferred vendor. You can basically give them a percentage of, whatever their brides or, their couples book with you. And so honeymoons are one of really the only types of personal travel that I will actually still offer because people aren't trying to nickel and dime. Sometimes you will end up, everybody who asks you for a quote is not going to book with you. And so you will end up wasting your time doing this research, putting together these quotes for people who don't really have a budget anyway. So at least if I'm going to take a gamble, risk it all, and possibly waste my time putting together this quote, at least you're gonna have a $8,000-$10,000 budget to work with, so that everybody's happy if you do end up booking this honeymoon with me. But again, we are teaching you inside of the Travel Boss course, we're teaching you what to do to actually monetize your services in a way that doesn't feel like you're cheating your clients, because you want them to feel like they're getting the best possible price and they're getting the best service. So we're not, telling you ways to just add stuff into packages to be able to upcharge people, but really how to provide quality service. So again, they continue to come back to you. So you plan their honeymoon, then they come back to you, the year after year for their anniversary trip. That is the goal, to make them want to, make you their preferred travel agent. Guided group travel is another one of my favorite ways to get paid as a travel agent. The difference between guided group travel and just group travel is that guided group travel typically comes with a preset itinerary that includes excursions, includes local attractions. So I experienced my very first guided group trip to China a couple months ago, and I quickly learned that guided group travel is not for me. What you will learn as a travel agent is, the travel industry is huge. There are tons of different types of travel, and everything is not for everyone. Solo travel, I have found, is not for me, and guided travel is not for me. I was bored and lonely and missing my man when I went on the solo trip. And when I went on the guided trip, even though I had my man with me, we're like rebels. So a guided group trip, even though, it's not mandatory, every single part of your day is planned out. So they already have your tickets to all the attractions. You already know where you're going to eat dinner every single night of the trip. You got to wake up at this specific time to get on the bus to go to this specific place. And then once you get to that specific place, you got to stay there for a specific amount of time until the group is ready to go. It just was not for me. In my opinion, it felt like an adult field trip. It felt like, everybody was grown, but we were being bussed around through China. We had to be at a certain place at a certain time, and just not for me. However, guided group travel is one way that you can make money through, using your travel services, especially if you have connections with local business owners in any destination. So one of my agents that just finished this last uh, class that we just wrapped up, she lives in the Bahamas. And so for her, her specialty is going to be the Bahamas. She's already there. She has connections with local business owners. She knows all of the best nightlife spots. She knows all of the best excursions, all of the best resorts. She knows everything because she's a local herself. Whether or not you are local to, a specific destination or not, even if you frequently traveled there and you've met, the taxi driver or you met the restaurant owner, once you start establishing those connections, you can definitely benefit the local business owners by bringing them business, bringing them money, helping them to benefit from tourism. Because a lot of times, especially in underdeveloped countries, most of the time the locals are not making money at all. The resorts, the commercial properties are making money, but those local business owners are not. So guided group travel is a way for you to bring them business, and you can also make money because you're going to pay less if you're working directly with the business owner than if you are going through travel vendors. So guided group travel is definitely something to consider as well. Another way to get paid as a travel agent is by becoming a travel influencer. And what this means to be a travel influencer is to basically create partnerships with brands where they will pay you to create content on their behalf, or they will pay you to review their property or do a video testimonial about their excursion. Airlines will literally fly you, to destinations to bring tourism, help promote tourism in that destination. I have travel influencer friends that have been sponsored by cruise lines, sponsored by airlines, sponsored by resort brands, sponsored by different travel vendors to bring your audience and your audience's attention to their property or to their business. So you can definitely build your audience as a travel agent But again, you're definitely going to have to travel. Okay. You have to actually be traveling for this to be beneficial or worthwhile to any of these companies to pay you for your audience. So you have to build up that audience. So this is one of the streams of income that is not as quick. It's going to definitely take you time because you have to have an audience in order for it to be beneficial. Now, these days, people are, a lot of businesses are looking for micro influencers. So you don't have to have as many followers, but you definitely still have to have the engagement. So you can get a 5-figure check and only have 5,000 followers if those 5,000 followers are very engaged, or if you have a specialty, a special audience that these brands want to get in front of. Women of color specifically are a huge market. Y'all know we love to spend a check. So these corporate companies want to get in front of us. So they are willing to pay influencers of color because we have audiences of color. So that's definitely one way that you can monetize yourself as a travel agent. And then, of course, you can monetize your skills and your audience by starting a travel shop. So if you go to busyatthebeach.com, not only will you be able to sign up for a group trip, you'll also be able to sign up for the travel course if you want to become a travel agent, or you can shop my travel accessories. And so inside of that shop, there's swimsuits, there's beach towels, there's travel bags, anything that you'll need to get busy at the beach, you name it, you can find it on that website. And the beautiful thing about it is that I have a huge inventory of products, but I don't have to stock any of those products. So you can go on my website and buy 100 different swimsuits, but that doesn't mean that I have 100 swimsuits in my closet or I have to mail out 100 swimsuits. All of it is drop shipped. And so in addition to the travel agent training, another class that I have is a Shopify training where I teach people how to start their Shopify store. And one of the reasons that I always promote Shopify above any other e-commerce platform is because of how easy the drop shipping process is with Shopify. So you can start a travel shop whether it's drop ship or not, but that is one of the ways that you can further monetize the traffic that you are getting to your travel website. And whether you do an online store or not, you can still offer like personalized products to your clients. So if you're planning a family reunion, you can definitely offer family reunion t-shirts. Or if you're planning a bachelorette trip, you can offer, bachelorette t-shirts or swimsuits or, any of those personalized items. Definitely additional ways to supplement your income and the services that you're providing to your client. So, do you think that you will be a good fit as a travel agent? These are some yes or no questions that you should ask yourself before you invest in becoming a travel agent. Number one, do you love to travel? Because if the answer is no, I don't know what you're still doing here, but let's just stop wasting our time. It's going to be very hard for you to sell something you don't do yourself. So if you get into the next question, have not taken a trip in the last 12 months, you probably are not a good fit. Not to say that you have to be, catching flights every week or every month, but if you have not been anywhere, if your natural habit is not to travel, then it's going to be hard for you to market yourself as a travel agent. It's going to be hard for you to make recommendations to your clients if you've never, left the city. Do you have a passport? Again, this is not a requirement. However, my recommendation is that you'll be more successful if you have, the more experience you have as a traveler, the more successful you'll be as a travel agent. It's so much easier when I can make a real recommendation to a client about, what city they should go to in Jamaica. They're trying to decide between Montego Bay and the Grill, and I can make a recommendation for a resort because I've actually been to those places. Or I have a group that wants to go to Barcelona, and I can make a real recommendation because I've actually experienced it. So the more experience you have, the more you can offer to your clients as a travel agent. Have you taken at least one international trip in the last 2 years? If you have not left the country in the last 10 years, then it's going to be hard for you to specialize in anything other than domestic travel. That is not to say that you can't make money doing domestic travel, but you just have to know your lane and, just stay in your lane. Have you planned a trip for your family or friends? Typically, you are going to be better equipped to make money as a travel agent if this is something that you've already done. So, if you've already planned a trip for your family or friends, if you've ever used a travel site to plan a trip for yourself or your family or friends, then yes, you'll probably be a good fit. If you have never been to Priceline, Airbnb, Expedia, Kayak, if you don't know what Skyscanner is, if you don't know about Google Flights, then this might not be a good fit because you'll probably have to force yourself, to sell this to people. All right, so let's talk about what you can expect inside of the Travel Boss course. And again, stick around. Even if you've already decided that you want to take the course, you got to stick around because I have to send you this specific link so that you have access to the bonus. All right, so here is what you can expect inside of the Travel Boss course. It is a Although this says it's a 7-week course, the way that I designed the course curriculum, it's meant for you to do one lesson per week. However, how I'm offering the training now is self paced. So that means once we start, after the start date, you literally have instant access to the entire course. So you can finish it in 7 weeks or you can finish it in 7 days if you got some free time. So it's totally up to you, your schedule. You don't have to worry about, signing in for anything live. So 7 lessons. First week, we talk about industry statistics, travel industry statistics, and principles to get paid. So different things that you need to know before getting started. The second lesson goes in depth on group travel and cruises. So very popular types of travel. So we wanted to really go in depth on how to go about doing group travel, the different things that you want to have in place, what you need to get in writing, the differences between, planning a cruise and planning group travel. The third lesson is all about building your clientele. So again, my one of my agents who literally has less than 1,000 followers on Instagram booked over $100,000 in travel in 9 months. No lie. 600 followers on Instagram. Okay, I kid you not. And so she actually co-taught this training with me. So you'll definitely be learning her secrets throughout this course as well. But I specifically wanted her to do the lesson on networking and building your clientele because it's easy for me to book a group trip and I have 80,000 followers on Instagram. That is not relatable for everybody. So I want you to hear from someone who has less than 1,000 followers on Instagram, hear her secrets and hear how she was able to book all of this travel and build this clientele with a smaller following. Lesson 4 is all about the real way to get paid, which is creating customized packages and upselling different services. Lesson 5 is a live demo. You literally get to see my screen. I walk you through the process for putting together a quote. So I give you a demo the previous week. You have a homework assignment of, go out on the good internet streets and put together a package for this client. And then the next lesson, I walk you through exactly how I would put together a quote and what I would include in the package for that client. So that's the fifth lesson. Lesson 6 is all about marketing. What I don't want you to do is invest in this class, spend all your good time taking all of these, lessons in, and then it's crickets once you get started. And so the sixth lesson is all about marketing your services as a travel agent. How are you actually going to get the word out there? How are you going to get your first clients? What do you need to do? What do you need to have in place so that you can market yourself as a travel agent and actually start monetizing that? And then the last lesson is a bonus lesson, and it's on social media secrets because Although there are a million and one ways to market yourself, I know and you know that everybody is going to start on social media because it's free and it's something that we are naturally using anyway. And so, because I know that that's where you're naturally going to start with marketing yourself, I definitely want to share with you all some best practices and some principles for how you can use social media to build your platform as a travel agent. Now, what you've been waiting for and the reason why you have to wait for my special link is because the link that I'm providing you with to sign up with the training in the past when I've offered this has been $5.99 and I've offered it for $6.99. But the link that I'm going to send you after finishing this training is for $4.99. So you have access to the 7 lesson training. You also have access to the online training group, which is a private online Facebook group that already has the prior students inside. So the students that have taken this course in the past are in the group so that they can, answer any questions and provide support for you. My co-teacher and lead travel agent, Takesha, is also inside the group. And not only is she there to answer your questions on a daily basis, she also does live Q&As inside of the group because we really want to be able to provide you with the support that you would not be able to get under, these MLM companies that most people are signing up under. So not only does the link that I provide you get you access to the course for $4.99, the other thing that it gets you access to is my 2-hour Shopify training course. So I've never, ever, ever in the past sold these 2 courses together. But what I found out the last time I offered the Travel Boss training is that most of those agents wanted to sell travel accessories or t-shirts or beach towels or beach bags. And so they ended up purchasing my Shopify course anyway. And so I felt like I might as well throw that in as a bonus for people who complete tonight's free training. So in order to get that bonus, that's only for people who pay in full. So there is a payment plan option available, but the bonus is only included for the people who pay in full for the course. So let me make sure that the email that you all get has the course link, the special link inside of it, so that you will be able to access that. And again, this link is only going to be good for the next 24 hours. I created this link specifically for people who finished this training. So anybody who got off early is not going to have access to that. So I definitely wanted to reward you all for sticking around. I did run my mouth a little bit longer than I planned on it. So after this training concludes, you will receive that link. Again, it's going to expire in 24 hours. So definitely make sure you get in where you fit in if you are interested in becoming a travel boss.